8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan 3 spacecraft.
P2 tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का 200 स्ट्रैप-ऑन बूस्टर्स का कुल प्रज्वलन काल 126 सेकंड का है.
200 stages are separated. 1 stage thrust cut off and separated.
कक्षा प्राप्त कर ली गई है.
Chandrayaan 3 satellite separated.
चंद्रयान 3 को सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपित कर दिया गया है.
LVM-3 M4 mission is successful.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and what a proud moment, ladies and gentlemen. The more we see it, the more we are proud of our scientists, and it just all looks so easy, isn't it? But 4 years after it all went all over the place, ladies and gentlemen, just with that landing, they've gone back to the drawing board. And as Somnath ji, the chairperson of ISRO, said, the first year went back to saying where we went wrong. The second year went back to trying to correct all those mistakes and to preempt the other mistakes. And then the third year went only into testing to the extent where we could just come back and say, we're not only just going to attempt the landing, we're going to go ahead and do whatever was our objective and beyond. That's the expectation from the Vikram rover. We'll see. That's the part that we've got to wait for now as it moves out of the Earth's orbit sometime around early August and enters into the moon orbit, and then moves itself towards that all-important day of landing that is between the 23rd and the 24th of August. So the next 40 days will be just watching the trajectory and perhaps counting down. This journey to the moon began 6 weeks, has begun, and now 6 weeks from now, like I said, that soft landing at around the 5:45, 6 p.m. if all goes well, that's where it was. But as if on cue, not even moving 1 inch from that dotted arc or the planned arc, it just went to the T. The world is sitting and taking notice of what our scientists can do, ladies and gentlemen. That liftoff from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh carries not just hopes, dreams and ambitions of an entire nation, but it also showcases to the world only 3 other space superpowers, China, Russia and America. It's showing them we can do it, we can get it right, and we do it much cheaper than what you people do. There are others who are not even able to get their rockets to lift off. And here we are expecting the liftoff to be a given. The Chandrayaan 3 successfully separating the LVM-3, the Bahubali rocket that then moved there, and you had the L-110, and thereafter it was the cryo engine that took over. So Vikram is meant to have a safe, soft landing, and this will be over south pole of the moon. So once again, it will roam over the moon's surface for 1 lunar day, which is equal to 14 Earth days, and conduct scientific experiments. This is India's second attempt for a soft landing on moon's lunar surface, but this time around we are far better prepared. Our fuzzy logic is far more complex. Preparation, the lander itself, there is a lot of weight. The orbiter weight has been removed and more has been used to strengthen the lander. And this is something which the director ISRO himself agreed and conceded, and also revealed to all of us. So after Russia, the US and China, India will then become the 4th nation to land on the moon, and that too on the moon's south pole. Prime PM Narendra Modi, who's in France, tweeted and said that Chandrayaan 3 scripts a new chapter in India's space odyssey and elevates the dreams and ambitions of every Indian. PM also said that this momentous achievement is a testament of our scientists. Now we break down to you the process of what happens next and how India is aiming to explore the unexplored. It's the first, it'll be the Earth orbit that will happen, and from the Earth orbit maneuvers, the 5th orbit maneuver around the Earth, and then after that, each time increasing the distance, it swings away. It's an elliptical orbit which happens, and with each one, you move away from the Earth and closer to the moon's gravitational force and the moon's orbit. And after the 5th maneuver, it begins to move towards the moon, and then it has to enter into the moon's gravitational force and enter into the moon's orbit, so that the overall orbiter itself and the it doesn't drift away into space. Now, this phase is the trans-lunar injection phase and is expected to be on the 31st of July. Then comes the lunar orbit insertion, expected on the 5th of August. The module orbits the moon 4 times, and each time getting closer and closer, and then eventually it will reach a circular orbit of 100 kilometers in 200 kilometers. That's where the lander then separates from the propulsion module, alters its orbit so that it comes as close as 30 kilometers to the moon, and then the lander commences the soft landing procedures. The soft landing is expected to be on the 23rd of August at about 5:47 p.m. if all goes well. But why does Chandrayaan-3 matter? India's mission opens a set of new horizons when it comes to the space sector. One of the first reasons is that it showcases India's technical prowess in space exploration. The second, it will boost the morale of the scientific community. The third, the mission will foster a sense of national pride. Fourth, promotes indigenous research and development. Fifth, sector has potential to create lakhs of jobs. Reason number 6 or 7 is that it will attract more private investment in space tech, and then position India among the top 4 tech advanced nations. In fact, push it ahead of some of the other ones. Pave the way for more international collaborations. More importantly, we'll be able to create that league where other nations, smaller nations, will be willing to partner us and also put in a share of the pie, because space tech, space exploration, space odyssey is a huge cost. But the next step after this successful landing, taking soils, bringing samples, we were the first. Chandrayaan-1 was the first to prove that there is ice on the lunar surface. So what's the composition of the minerals, the soils? What does it mean? And the impact of it. And of course, the next would be to land a robot, get a robot to walk, and maybe even return. And thereafter, it will be the Gaganyaan, or that means the human exploration into space. So Gaganyaan is another objective that will be there. There are many scientists who believe we can do much better. We can do much better than the LVM. We can use far more powerful rockets, which would not need us to use the elliptical orbits of the Earth and the Moon to give us propulsion and to take us into the direction where we need to, and we can get there quicker and get out quicker. But we leave it for later. Let's go straight across to G. Madhavan Nair, former ISRO chief. Madhavan Nair ji, namaste. A historic day for us. Chandrayaan, should we assume now that the journey will be comfortable and it's the landing that's in focus?
Let's hope that everything goes well. It's a long journey, nearly 400,000 kilometers, and again, almost a month's time. So we have to keep our fingers crossed until then. I hope everything will go all right. ISRO has done it right. I wish them all success at this stage.
Last time, the soft handling aspect, Madhavan Nair ji, that's where the fault was eventually. How big a setback was that? And to get it right this time around, what would that mean for India in the space race?
Well, in the Chandrayaan-2, it was a very narrow miss, I would say, that the mission, everything went off fine. The spacecraft was put around the moon. From there, the lander was detached, and it was put in a trajectory to have a soft landing on the lunar surface. But unfortunately, just about 2 kilometers above the surface, some glitch happened in the system, and the entire spacecraft tumbled and fell down. So with that, the impact velocity was quite high, and I'm sure the old spacecraft would have disintegrated by the time. So we have only a very short data about that incident, and the ISRO team has done extensive analysis on that, and they tried to conceive all possible scenario of such failure, and try to this. Of course, you must remember that it's a very complex operation, wherein which a platform is going to land on an unknown territory with almost blindfolded. There are only electronic sensors like a stereoscopic camera or the laser imaging system or the radars on board. And with that, to make an autonomous landing system is extremely difficult. But we almost achieved it, but last minute, either the software or the computer or the hardware would have malfunctioned. But I think I understand the ISRO has taken an approach to see that every element of that operation is revisited and strengthened. And in fact, today the landing gear has been much more stronger than in the previous one. The thruster configuration has been modified. It is simplified, and also the algorithm to have safe landing has been modified, and redundancy features have been incorporated. In case one sensor or one actuator doesn't fail, something else will be called in to as a backup. So that way they have done all possible corrective actions, and extensive simulations have been done over the last 4 years. And I'm sure this time it should go without much outreach. But still, it's a long travel.
Yes.
And hundreds of elements have to work in unison. Then only we will have the final mission.
True. When if you look at mathematics and probability, you have to get everything right, and everything has to fall in place. Even 0.1 degrees of separation or variance can mean that this vehicle would land somewhere far, far away than where it is intended to. But and common man, somebody who's not understands science and tech as much as you do, sir, some of this is lost upon us. The amount of effort, the amount of calculation, and what kind of work goes behind the scenes. Why it takes so much of time. But let me ask you, this time difference. How many people appreciate that it's virtually blind, because there is a time lag, and there is nothing in the control as far as the base control is concerned in back home?
Well, of course, the time lag is a major issue as far as the communication with the spacecraft is concerned. It is not possible to have a real-time control from the ground. So that's how the system is conceived in an autonomous manner. Everything is done with the onboard computer, and all the logic which is required for the operation is built into it. And the sensor data comes to the computer, and computer takes based on the data which is available to it. And that way, once command for separation is given, the entire operation will take place in an autonomous and automatic manner. So we don't have to have any ground intervention. We have to only keep monitoring. But any incident happening, we will know only about 8 seconds after that happened, because of the time lag in communication. Once we land there, it's going to be a very unique experiments are going to be conducted. As you know, in the Chandrayaan 1 as well as in the Chandrayaan 2 orbiter, a lot of information has been collected through the remote sensing. Then this data has to be validated. What has to confirm? And the unique finding was in the South Polar region, there is a huge deposit of ice. That is a very unique finding, and India was the first country to announce that through Chandrayaan 1. Now, this has to be confirmed. Again, the type of minerals which are there, the type of terrain features, and especially looking for elements like helium-3, all those things become important. So this lander will go there. First, it will start moving around, taking pictures, and then trying to see what course it has to take. Because 14 days is available. Within 14 days, how much distance it can cover and how much data it can gather has to be planned. Then, of course, the real-time measurement of temperature, the chemical composition of the material there, and also the trace gases. There is no thick atmosphere around the moon, but still there are trace gases.
Right.
Then there are seismic activities which take place on the moon, and this has signals will be picked up, and so on. So this is going to be an in situ measurement, a small laboratory on the surface of the moon, collecting data for about 14 days and relaying back to the ground. And this is going to add to our knowledge about how the moon has originated and what was the condition at the time, and what was the condition or the factors affecting the solar system about 4 billion years back, and throw some light as to the origin of the old solar system itself. So that way, tremendous amount of scientific knowledge will come out of this mission, and also a validation of what we have achieved through the remote sensing data in the past.
Well, absolutely. So it's not just for India, but for humanity, this is going to be a hugely important mission if we get it all right. But is all of our tech indigenous, Madhavan Nairji? And what does that mean for India and as an active, as a lucrative space marketer, the viable option for nations? Do you see more Asian nations, other nations gravitating towards India if we get it all right?
Well, as you know, once we land there, we are going to become the fourth nation in the world
Ji.
to do so.
Yeah.
Entire technology for this is homegrown. We have not got any assistance or any inputs from any other country. So that way we can be proud it's the Indian mission. And the only thing is we are carrying one or two instruments which is from NASA. In the Chandrayaan 1 also we have done that, some instruments as a part of the international cooperation. We are giving a piggyback ride to them.
Right.
So we are showing our capability in the space to access not only around Earth, but also to the nearby planets also. So this is going to be a great strength as far as the country is concerned.
Right.
And ISRO is known for doing all this on a shoestring budget. So naturally the cost effectiveness is there. And the reliability of the ISRO launch vehicles are fairly high compared to even international standards. So let's hope that we will be able to capture not only the Indian market, but also the foreign market of space transportation using this system. Once you demonstrate this, others are going to really recognize the technical might and the quality of the Indian space products.
Well, just because you can get there and land there doesn't mean you can come back. A lot of people are saying that. Do you think that's the next step, sir? How far are we from achieving that? To go and to come back?
Well, I think the ideas are there and the system can be designed to do so. For example, the water finding on the moon is a big one. If you want to get back, you need fuel.
Yeah.
The solar energy can be used to decompose water, take hydrogen, and that hydrogen can become the fuel for return journey. So the rocket's hardware can be realized here and taken there and fill the fuel from there and then relaunch back to there. So that possibility exists. So only question is it takes time and money. And money, of course, as the country, we cannot afford to have that luxury. But still a small portion of the budget is being used for planetary exploration. And this is part of that. And this is going to be a stepping stone towards probably a robotic exploration to start with.
Wow.
And maybe the human presence at a later stage, maybe in about a 10-year time frame.
Final question, sir. As a scientist, what are the chances that you're giving that they'll get it right this time?
Well, as I told you, the ISRO is known for its culture of learning from the past.
Yes.
Learning, correcting the mistakes and going forward. And so mistakes don't repeat there. So that's the track record of ISRO. So certainly that gives us a confidence.
Right.
But at the same time, as I mentioned, hundreds of elements and systems, software, everything has to work precisely.
Right.
Then only we have the final mission. So we have to keep our fingers crossed all the way, and we have to hold our breath until it touches down and the rover starts moving around.
Well, fingers crossed on that. Ji Madhavan Nair ji, thank you so much. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time, sir. Shifting focus, ladies and gentlemen, the national capital didn't see so much as rain as much as it saw floods. Water raging from the Yamuna river has thrown normal life out of gear in Delhi. The Yamuna water level is stable for the last 3 hours after continuously rising for the last 4 days. But the woes for the Aam Aadmi continue. Several key areas of the capital like ITO, Rajghat, Red Fort, Yamuna Bazaar, Geeta Colony, to name a few, remain waterlogged. The Delhi police restricted the entry of commercial vehicles in many areas after several arterial roads were flooded. 3 boys, unfortunately, died in northeast Delhi's Mukundpur while trying to swim in flood waters. They got sucked into the gutter water or into an open drain. Meanwhile, Delhi LG VK Saxena, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Aam Aadmi Party's Atishi Saurabh Bharadwaj inspected flood-affected areas. News 18 remains at the forefront in bringing you the ground reality. Have a look at this consolidated report.
We are currently reporting from Civil Lines area inside the Delhi government's officers' flat. This is the particular location where all the residents who were residing here for long, they have been asked to evacuate. A while back, the operation of the NDRF was just conducted at this particular place, and you can see that this is the water level which has reached out at this particular place. If I move any further, I will be to a part will be drowned in water. So as of now, the rescue operation has been done. You can see in the visuals as well that still the residents can be seen leaving from this particular location. They have no other option but to leave from this particular site. They are moving towards either to their relatives or some other location from the national capital, Delhi.
This is the backside of the Red Fort, and in fact, since yesterday we have been reporting from this very spot, and I can tell you one thing, the water levels have only increased at this very spot. One very example of increased water levels, if we compared to the reports we have done from yesterday, that very bus you see in the visual, the police bus yesterday, it was half submerged underwater, and now it has been almost completely submerged underwater. So you can only imagine the kind of water levels which have increased over this point. This is the ring road basically, which actually goes towards the famous Margat Wale Hanuman Mandir, and in fact this is the very road which has witnessed increased levels of water. This is what Yamuna has become right now here in the national capital, how aggressive this river is right now, and in fact we are reporting from the old bridge, the old iron bridge. In fact, today we are the only channel to actually get here, and in fact to get you these visuals which you're seeing on your screens. In fact, the water levels have risen so high. In fact, now what is happening here is that this entire area has been cordoned off by the police officials, and in fact you can see this entire area is emptied. In fact, it was emptied earlier, but in fact there were reports that some people were still getting inside this very old Loha Pul, but now this entire area has been cordoned off, and in fact some people were also telling about some rescue operation going on at that side of that very of this Yamuna.
पीछे आप तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं और तस्वीरें देखकर शायद अंदाजा आज न लगा पाएं कि ये दिल्ली का कौन सा इलाका है। अगर मैं आपको न बताऊं, ये राजघाट है और देखकर आपको बिल्कुल नहीं लगेगा। राजघाट जहां पर लिखा होता है वो नेम प्लेट सुबह तक दिखाई दे रही थी, लेकिन अब वो भी पूरी तरीके से डूब चुकी है। पूरा अंदर का इलाका डूब चुका है और पानी का फ्लो आप देखिए, ऐसा लग रहा है कि कोई नहर बह रही है और बहुत तेजी से पानी उधर से आ रहा है। ये देखिए, ये पानी का फ्लो आप देखकर समझ सकते हैं कि अभी यहाँ स्थिति नहीं सुधरने वाली है। अगले कुछ घंटे या ये कह सकते हैं हम कि अगले 1 से 2 दिन में तो कम से कम तस्वीर यहाँ बिल्कुल नहीं बदलेगी। भले ही यमुना के जलस्तर में गिरावट आ गई हो, लेकिन अभी भी स्थिति ऐसी है। मेरी खुद की तस्वीर आप देख लीजिए। अब अगर मैं और थोड़ा सा आगे गई, किशन तस्वीर दिखाएं मेरी, तो अगर मैं थोड़ा सा और आगे गई तो शायद पानी यहाँ तक पहुंच जाए। यहीं तक आप देख सकते हैं कि मैं अभी बहुत आगे नहीं गई हूँ, अभी मैं मेन गेट से बहुत दूर हूँ, लेकिन यहाँ तक पानी आ चुका है। और मेन गेट की तस्वीर आप देख लीजिए। जो लोग इस वक्त टीवी देख रहे होंगे और ये तस्वीरें देख रहे होंगे, जो राजघाट कभी आए होंगे, वाकई में देखकर हैरान होंगे, और हम खुद भी, क्योंकि देखिए कितना ये ऊंचा गेट है और वहां तक भी पानी भर चुका है।
ITO bus stop. ITO bus stop. We used to see a number of commuters on a daily basis on this particular bus stop, but today this is not the condition because this stop, in fact, the floor of the stop is not visible because it is inside the water. Also, Aisha, you see it's raining at this point in time, and this rain is going to increase the problem further. Water level is constantly increasing, even when water level is decreasing in Yamuna. In areas like ITO, the drain water has approached the road and in fact it is increasing on a constant basis. Once again, if I can show you the visuals of these children, they are actually swimming and they are enjoying these activities in the water, and water is up to such a level that they can comfortably swim, and not just swim. In fact, many of them are just 3 feet and 4 feet long. There you see that kid got slipped and fall in that water. But since they are enjoying the activities and they are they are swimming, so this is a fun time for them. But it is not a fun time for people here in Delhi. Many of them are late for their offices because of the traffic congestion. We have several roads affected because of water on road, and IMD has further predicted a yellow alert for tomorrow. It means that we are expecting a lot of rain tomorrow, and in fact today there are predictions that in some areas of the Delhi and the National Capital Region we are going to see on and off rain.
As thousands of residents of these villages that have been flooded in Noida have already been rescued, the major challenges that lies ahead of before the police as well as civic authorities is to rescue the cattle and the animals that are still stuck inside. You can see police officials are here, and administration is also here. What these animal activists are requesting to the administration is to provide them with enough logistics to make sure that all the animals that are stuck inside can be brought out. As you can see, NDRF teams are also there. They are bringing out people on boats. But right now the administration and the police are saying saying that on priority they are evacuating people and residents of the village, while the animals who are stuck, efforts to rescue them are also currently underway.
The trajectory of launch vehicle is closely following the prediction.
Payload fairing separated.
जी हाँ, पेलोड फेयरिंग को पृथक कर दिया गया है यान से, क्योंकि यान अब 114.8 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर चुका है। इस चरण का कुल प्रज्वलन काल 200 सेकेंड होता है और इस दौरान यह करीब 1600 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणुद उत्पन्न करता है।
We are 220 seconds past the launch time. Current altitude is 135 kilometers. In the 200 seconds of its operation, the L-110 stage carries the rocket up to 175.5 kilometers altitude and imparts a relative velocity of 4.18 kilometers per second. That is 250 kilometers every minute.
L-110 stage performance normal.
LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का द्वितीय चरण पूर्णतः सामान्य निष्पादन करते हुए इस चरण में कुल 113 टन के तरल नोदक भरे जाते हैं। N2O4 तथा UH-25 अर्थ स्टोरेबल प्रोपेलेंट को ईंधन के रूप में प्रयोग किया जाता है इस चरण में।
Stage ignition is authorized.
अगला चरण C-25 का प्रज्वलन भावी है।
Plus 5 minutes.
L-110 stage thrust cut off and separated. C-25 ignition command. 25 ignition confirmed.
That's a piece of really good news that the third stage has started its operation. The C-25 stage has been ignited.
जी हाँ, एक बहुत ही जटिल प्रक्रिया होती है क्रायो इंजन का इग्निशन, और इसके प्रज्वलन के साथ ही तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट से गूंज उठा है मिशन नियंत्रण कक्ष। तृतीय चरण C-25 वर्तमान में प्रणोद उत्पन्न कर रहा है। पूर्णतः सामान्य, सभी तंत्र पूर्णतः सामान्य हैं।
118 kilonewtons thrust in vacuum is what this stage develops with its 28.6 tons propellant combination of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. Present altitude
stage
is close.
Performance normal.
तृतीय और यह अंतिम चरण है इस यान का C-25। यह क्रायो ईंधन पर आधारित चरण है जिसमें लिक्विड हाइड्रोजन, लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन का इस्तेमाल होता है। इसमें कुल 28 टन का क्रायो ईंधन पूरी सुरक्षा तथा सावधानी के साथ भरा जाता है। इस चरण में 186 किलोन्यूटन का प्रणोद उत्पन्न होता है और यह करीब 640 सेकंड तक प्रज्वलित रहेगा। इसमें दिशा नियंत्रण के लिए इंजन जिम्बल का इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। क्रायो ईंधन का विशिष्ट आवेग 446 सेकंड के करीब होता है।
Currently, the rocket is at an altitude of 210 kilometers.
Plus 7 minutes.
While there is no much variation in altitude, this stage will add to the relative velocity immensely.
अब हम उड़ान से 1 मिनट की दूरी पर
Minus 50 seconds.
All sequences armed.
Stage ready.
Minus
TB ready.
45 seconds. Minus 40 seconds.
L-110 VHPP opened. MOV
Minus
79
35
open.
seconds. minus 30 seconds,
Real-time programs activated.
minus 25 seconds,
L110 VSPP open.
minus 20 seconds, minus 15, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan 3 spacecraft.
P2 tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का। यह भीमकाय रॉकेट आसमान को चीरते हुए अपनी भयानक दहाड़ से चारों ओर कंपन उत्पन्न कर रहा है।
On a day Chandrayaan 3 launched into space, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to France became monumental, ladies and gentlemen. Prime Minister Narendra Modi presided over the Bastille Day parade as the guest of honor with the French President Emmanuel Macron. This year, the Bastille Day celebrations also included an Indian Tri-Services marching contingent that drew oohs and ahs and wows for their display. IAF's Rafales also joined the flypast along with the French jets. Later, Prime Minister attended a lunch hosted by the National Assembly President and also met prominent personalities from various fields. Shortly from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding bilaterals with the French President. And on the agenda of the two leaders is defense, security, space technology and innovation. Sanjay Suri is live from the venue of the celebratory reception, the bilateral, the joint statement. It's all going to happen at one place. Suited and with that tie looking sharp, Sanjay Suri, and on a day you can proudly say, listen, we've taken Chandrayaan 3 into space and we're going to talk space tech with the French.
Well, and not just about Chandrayaan, there are other reasons to wear a smart tie. I'm at the Élysée Palace here in Paris, where the Prime Minister is due very shortly for talks with the President. And this is a day when we've been filled with pride to watch the Indian military contingent at the Bastille Day parade, and their marching was really fabulous. They won applause, they won hearts, they won admiration, and it filled us all with pride to see the Punjab Regiment, the Air Force and the Navy march as well as they did. But of course, it's on to serious matters now. The Prime Minister is due here very shortly. He will be holding talks with President Macron. We know that the DAC has given a clearance for the Rafale deal, but that is still short of signing on the dotted line. There are some issues in the way, and a formal final announcement is due, and we are waiting to see what emerges following the talks that are due to begin very soon.
True, Sanjay, and we'll look at what the crux of the conversation is going to be, but security, defense, space technology, innovation will all be come under the ambit of the conversations like you said. What is the biggest deal, or perhaps the one big tick in the box that's being spoken about, which the French media, the French are talking about, or perhaps you are also expecting will get a green signal? Is there, cooperation in nuclear plant, the Jaitapur nuclear plant? Is that going to get a go-ahead? Because that's been stuck for decades now. Ambassador Deepak Vora is walking into studio here, but yes, quick word, Sanjay Suri.
Interesting that you should talk about that, because that indicates the Jaitapur talks that the political will is there. There's no ideological barrier to French cooperation with India for nuclear energy. But that political green signal is not on its own enough to get a deal through. There are issues about pricing and about sharing of technology. And these will be issues about that big tick question that you were talking about, which of course is the Rafale. There will be questions here about sharing of technology, transfer of technology, part co-production in India, and above everything else, the price. There will be a question about that, and these are the final touches, and of course the critical ones, the ones that potentially could complete a deal that we're waiting to hear more about.
Ambassador Deepak Vora is with us. I'm also hoping, Ambassador Deepak Vora, that Dr. Jitendra Singh, Union Minister, should join us. He's on his way from Sriharikota. Oh, wow. So on a day we have a successful Chandrayaan 3 launch. We have the Prime Minister there in France. And perhaps it just gives us the kind of edge, doesn't it?
Well, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be with you on your amazing channel. And you are, of course, one of the nation's best anchors and most
Thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure.
The flag that you put on my jacket continues to stay. So Har Ghar Tiranga, that promise stays. He's the gentleman who put the flag on my sleeve and it stays there. Sir, with your kind indulgence, I'll just go straight across to the Union Minister. He's also with us. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Namaste. Jai Hind, sir. Can you hear me?
Just 1 second.
Dr. Jitendra Singh.
Namaste, Anand.
Namaste, thank you. You're on the move and you've taken the time out to speak with us, but it's a proud moment for us. You were there. You were there inside. Thoda experience to bataiye. Were you still the Neta or did you suddenly become the passionate Indian who's seeing that rocket go up and say Jai Hind?
Absolutely. I think cutting across the sections. And for the first time, I have been associated with the Department of Space for almost 1 decade now. It was an amazing scene over there in the Satish Dhawan Space Center for one important reason, that I've never seen such a huge crowd of people over there. That is also significant of the fact that Prime Minister Modi has unlocked the gates of Sriharikota for the common public, and we had as much as, I think, not less than 1,000 media persons.
Wow.
1,000 media persons. Then one of them said there was a tweet from the Congress party saying that these things used to happen in their times also. I said, did you ever happen to be here? He said no. So I said, that is the answer. That has actually led to the development of an ecosystem. When Prime Minister Modi opened it for private players, it also led to the involvement of the industry, the academia, the startups, the media, all of them pooling in their resources in whatever capacity they have, supplementing each other's efforts, each other's assets. And I think this is a huge bonanza which was seen happening there, and the beginning of a new approach and a new culture in the working of the ISRO and the space sector in India, which was earlier working in a kind of a wheel of secrecy and trying to keep itself away from the rest of the world, and in the process inadvertently depriving itself of the huge resource, whether it be the form of knowledge resource or the financial resource, and spending time in a financial crunch and not being able to give full play to their potentials. As you see those pictures of Sarabhai carrying the launcher vehicle on the carriage of his bicycle. So I think there's a huge change which was witnessed today.
Sir, the scientists also seem to be, not so serious. They also like a bit of banter and some fun. We saw Somnath ji, the mission director, also indulge in some fun while they were announcing and talking about it. That also brings across the human face, doesn't it? Jan Bhagidari in the true sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's precisely I'm saying. There's a change in the culture, work culture itself, because you see what had happened is that for the last 60, 70 years they were working in isolation. They would not move out, they would not let anybody come in. It was a taboo moving out, mixing with people. So they got to live in a different kind of a world. And the interpersonal, interactions and the interpersonal behaviors also take the kind of form that the environment that you live in. Now they are dealing with young startups, some bright young boys, girls from IITs and Science Institute. They are dealing with industry houses, both domestic and as well as overseas. They are dealing with academicians of all hues and colors. So that has also given them a huge lot of exposure. So it has enabled the growth on both sides. So I think it's a optimum pooling of all the assets that is behind, all the stakeholders have been brought together. So obviously, as you rightly mentioned, that fun might have been missing because they were not allowed to have fun, or they even forgot that there was something like fun happening outside.
It was evident this time around. Just two more questions, Dr. Jitendra Singh. I know you've also got pressing engagements. I just want to understand from you, sir. Ye landing ab ki baar pakki hai? You have the confidence?
No, absolutely. Actually, क्या है कि even in the landing the last time, in some quarters it was said that it was a failure. But as somebody from the scientific fraternity, I would rather say that it would be unfair even to call that exercise a failure, because if you go by the record of the other countries, none of them have had a smooth landing in the first or second attempt. So to that extent, our statistically record is better than many other countries, whether it be the USA or USA. But having said that, what happened last time was that the landing did happen.
Yeah.
It's not that it didn't happen. The rover there did bring out messages sent back to us, but the entire lot of agenda that we had envisaged for ourselves did not get accomplished, and that was an disappointment for us. Now this time, not only that part has been taken care of, because of course even if it is a successful mission, we always tend to improve in the subsequent mission. You know, like you direct one movie and then you learn some pitfalls and you improve on the next movie, even regardless of whether the earlier movie had done well, even then you try to do that. So we try to improve upon even on the successful preceding mission. But this time, of course, besides that, some of the pitfalls which we thought should not have been there but also taken care of. Some buffer effect was also there, and most significantly, what would make this Chandrayaan 3 apart from the other missions is that's going to land on the south polar area, where it will be a continuation of the finding that its predecessor Chandrayaan 1 brought, and which startled the world. It brought the evidence of H2O molecules, water molecules on the surface of the moon, which had not been discovered even by the countries which had landed on the moon.
So, not just that, Madhavan Nairji, I was speaking with him just before you joined, and he said that if we can figure out if there is enough, that can provide fuel for us to return, because the hydrogen can be isolated and we can look at that possibility going forward. Sir, even as we speak, final question, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reached the Elysee Palace for the joint statement. With the Americans, we had the Artemis space station agreement that we would send one of our astronauts there. With the French, what are we looking in the arena of space?
No, we are open to collaboration with all the countries now. It's no longer a taboo, and I personally believe it has to be PPP plus PPP, public-private participation domestically with public-private participation overseas. So likewise France also, and the very fact that Artemis has happened in the other agreement about the International Space Station is also indicator of the fact that India today is being looked upon as looked up as an equal partner. So it's now America which is soliciting one of our astronauts to accompany them to the International Space Station to add value to their expedition. So I think having started late, and as you said in the case of water, I was telling somebody this morning in lighter vein that even though America was the first to land a human being on the surface of moon in 1969, who made a very catchy statement, he said, one small step for man, giant step for mankind.
Leap for mankind.
BBC also picked up his visual, but he couldn't place the presence of water around, though he had a small stall. It was our Chandrayaan which collected it. So now India is being looked up as a very important, a very valuable role player in this entire space sector domain.
Sir, proud moment, sir, and thank you very much for accommodating in such short time. Thank you for your time, and always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you, and let's take that conversation forward with Ambassador Deepak Vora. Sir, thank you for your patience. It's all real time, so that's why we have to accommodate. And you are also taking the right stand today with me, so I pardon me for making you stand. But you said that the French collaboration is something interesting, because the interplanetary quest will take us to yet another planet in the vicinity.
Thank you very much, as always. May I first read out to you a message I've got?
Sure, please.
First, I studied in France, and 46 years ago, sitting under a bridge in Paris, I looked into this extraordinarily beautiful woman's eyes and said forever. She said yes. She's my wife now for 46 years. Sous les ponts de Paris, under the bridges of Paris. We'll be together forever. Now, I have a message from one of my colleagues who was with me at the Sorbonne when I was studying there, and is my age, I'm 72, says, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur, peut-on avoir votre Premier ministre en location avec service pour 2 ans? Basically translated into English, it says, Mr. Ambassador, can we have your Prime Minister on wet lease for 2 years? So he can elevate
Vous nous faites l'immense honneur de votre présence un 14 juillet qui nous rappelle les racines de notre partenariat stratégique dont nous célébrons cette année le 25e anniversaire. Il y a un peu plus d'un siècle, cette année, le 25e anniversaire. Il y a un peu plus d'un siècle, en 1916, c'est aussi au cœur de Paris, sur ces mêmes Champs-Élysées, qu'ont défilé les troupes indiennes, venues combattre à nos côtés dans les tranchées, mais aussi sur l'ensemble des fronts de la Grande Guerre. Et je veux vous dire l'émotion qui fut la nôtre ce matin.
सैनिकों के साथ हमारे साथ ट्रेंचों में, खाइयों में और विश्व युद्ध के सारे मोर्चों पर लड़े थे कंधे में लाकर, और बहुत ही गर्व हुआ आज पंजाब रेजिमेंट को यहाँ पर देखकर पेरिस के दिल के में। हम एक ऐतिहासिक विश्वास के आधार पर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और हम वैश्विक चुनौतियों का साथ समाधान ढूंढ सकते हैं, और जो G20 के शिखर वार्ता में उसकी कार्यसूची में होंगे। हम चाहते हैं कि जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय समुदाय है उसका खंडन के जोखिम से अपनी दुनिया को बचाए, और इसलिए हमने पेरिस एजेंडा और नया वित्तीय वैश्विक कॉम्पैक्ट पर इकट्ठे काम किया है। आपने सितंबर में जो दुनिया के राष्ट्राध्यक्ष होंगे, जो हेड्स ऑफ स्टेट और गवर्नमेंट होंगे, उनको आमंत्रित किया है, और हम सब चाहते हैं कि एक ऐसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यवस्था का स्थापना हो जो शांति और विकास की ओर हमें ले जाए। मुझे बहुत गर्व हुआ था जब 2018 में मैंने आपके साथ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सौर गठबंधन की स्थापना की थी, और हम चाहते हैं कि बिजली का उत्पादन 2030 तक 1000 गीगावाट का हो, और हमने आपके पिछले जो यात्रा थी उसके दौरान भी हमने एक नया पहल शुरू किया था प्लास्टिक से संघर्ष का। तो ये जो दो उदाहरण हैं वो दर्शाते हैं कि हम अगर इकट्ठे काम करें तो हम सारे क्षेत्रों में नई संरचना बना सकते हैं, न सिर्फ जहां युद्ध से बचने के लिए। और G20, COP28 और जो संयुक्त राष्ट्र के समुद्र पर सम्मेलन होने जा रहा है नीस में 2025 में, उसका आयोजन भी हम इकट्ठे कर सकते हैं। तो हमारे जो सामरिक हित हैं वो उसका अभिसरण हम इंडो पैसिफिक तक जाता है, क्योंकि हमारे एक ही दृष्टिकोण है इसके बारे में। हम आधिपत्य से लड़ना चाहते हैं, हम हमारे सशस्त्र बल नियमित बातचीत कर रहे हैं और पूरी योगदान कर रहे हैं ताकि जो शांति है और सुरक्षा है इस क्षेत्र में बनाई रहे और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कानून का सम्मान रहे। ये जो सामरिक आत्मीयता है हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में, वो ठोस रूप ले रही है नए योजनाओं के साथ, खासकर जो आर्थिक योजनाएं हम इकट्ठे कर रहे हैं। भारत आज दूसरे सबसे बड़ा हमारा साझेदार है एशिया में। हमने नए कार्य क्षेत्र ढूंढे हैं, जैसे कि स्टील, अंतरिक्ष, ऊर्जा, सिविल न्यूक्लियर और टेक्नोलॉजी। ये जो नया स्थिति है जिसकी ओर हम अपनी द्विपक्षीय साझेदारी को ले जा रहे हैं, वो सिर्फ उन महिलाओं और पुरुषों की वजह से बना पाएंगे जो रोजाना इन संबंधों को जीते हैं, और उनमें से कई सारे आज रात के डिनर पर हमारे साथ आएंगे। और फिर हम युवा पीढ़ी को नहीं भूल सकते, क्योंकि भारत और फ्रांस में युवा ही आगे भविष्य की फ्रांस की छवि भारत में और भारत की छवि फ्रांस में इसको नया रुख देगी और उसको पुनर्निर्मित करेगी। 2025 में हमने सोचा था कि 20,000 फ्रांस के स्टूडेंट्स भारत तक पहुंचाएंगे और कोविड के बावजूद हम इस लक्ष्य को पा पाए हैं और हम समझते हैं कि यहां से 2030 तक 30,000 ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स को भेजेंगे और हमारे प्रयास इसकी ओर जाएंगे। और हम चाहते हैं कि जो युवा भारतीय फ्रांस में पढ़ने के निर्णय लेते हैं उनको आगे भी अपने दिल के करीबी देश के में आने का मौका दिया जाना चाहिए। इसलिए हम अपना वीजा की नीति भी उसके अनुकूल बनाएंगे ताकि वो ये कड़ी बनाए रखे। हम चाहते हैं कि जो कोऑपरेशन शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में हो रहा है वो संस्कृति के क्षेत्र में भी बढ़ाएं ताकि संगीत, डांस और बाकी जो सांस्कृतिक क्षेत्र हैं उसमें भी साझा काम कर पाएं। और हम संग्रहालय विशेषज्ञता को साझा करना चाहते हैं क्योंकि हमारे पास ये विशेषज्ञता है, क्योंकि 2047 में आप अपने शताब्दी महोत्सव मनाएंगे और इसके लिए हमने एक मानचित्र बनाया है। एक बार फिर आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि आप हमारे साथ यहाँ पर फ्रांस में आए इस खास दिन के लिए और जो 14 जुलाई की जो परेड है उसमें आपके जो आर्म्ड फोर्सेस जिन्होंने भाग लिया है उनको भी धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा।
योर एक्सेलेंसी और मेरे प्रिय मित्र राष्ट्रपति मैक्रो, दोनों देशों के डेलीगेट्स, मीडिया के साथियों, नमस्कार। पेरिस जैसे खूबसूरत शहर में इस गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत के लिए मैं राष्ट्रपति मैक्रो का आभार प्रकट करता हूं। फ्रांस के लोगों को राष्ट्रीय दिवस के लिए बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं भी देता हूं। यह दिवस विश्व में लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी और फ्रेटर्निटी जैसे मूल्यों का प्रतीक माना जाता है। ये मूल्य हमारे दो लोकतांत्रिक देशों के संबंधों का भी एक महत्वपूर्ण आधार है। आज मुझे इस उत्सव में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में शामिल होने का गौरव मिला। मुझे खुशी है कि इस अवसर की शोभा और गरिमा बढ़ाने के लिए भारत की तीनों सेनाओं की टुकड़ियों ने भाग लिया। भारतीय राफेल एयरक्राफ्ट का फ्लाई पास भी हम सब ने देखा। हमारी नौसेना का जहाज भी फ्रांस के पोर्ट पर मौजूद था, यानी जल, थल, नभ। हमारे बढ़ते सहयोग की एक शानदार तस्वीर हमें एक साथ देखने को मिली। कल राष्ट्रपति मैक्रो ने मुझे फ्रांस के सर्वश्रेष्ठ राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया। ये सम्मान 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का सम्मान है। फ्रेंड्स, हम अपनी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की 25वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं। बीते 25 वर्षों के मजबूत आधार पर हम आने वाले 25 वर्षों के लिए रोड मैप तैयार कर रहे हैं। इसमें बोल्ड और महत्वाकांक्षी लक्ष्य निर्धारित किए जा रहे हैं। भारत के लोगों ने भी इस कालखंड में एक विकसित देश बनाने का संकल्प लिया है। इस यात्रा में हम फ्रांस को एक नेचुरल पार्टनर के रूप में देखते हैं। 2 दिनों में हमें आपसी सहयोग के सभी क्षेत्रों पर विस्तार से बात करने का अवसर मिल रहा है। आर्थिक संबंधों को और सुदृढ़ करना हमारी साझा प्राथमिकता है। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, सेमीकंडक्टर्स, साइबर, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी जैसे अनेक क्षेत्रों में सहयोग बढ़ाने के लिए हम नए इनिशिएटिव्स की पहचान कर रहे हैं। भारत के यूपीआई यानी यूनिफाइड पेमेंट्स इंटरफेस को फ्रांस में लॉन्च करने पर समझौता हुआ है। हम दोनों देशों के स्टार्टअप और इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम को आपस में जोड़ने पर बल दे रहे हैं। समान विचारधारा वाले देशों के साथ मिलकर हमें टेक्नोलॉजी सप्लाई चेन्स के लोकतांत्रिकरण के लिए लगातार काम करना चाहिए। क्लाइमेट चेंज और पर्यावरण सुरक्षा हमारी साझा और मुख्य प्राथमिकता रही है। इस दिशा में हमने पहले ही इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस स्थापित किया था, जो अब एक मूवमेंट बन गया है। अब हम ब्लू इकोनॉमी और ओशन गवर्नेंस के रोडमैप पर तेजी से काम करना चाहते हैं। सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक के खिलाफ हम एक साझा पहल पर आगे बढ़ेंगे। इंडियन ऑयल और फ्रांस की टोटल कंपनी में एलएनजी के निर्यात के लिए जो लॉन्ग टर्म एग्रीमेंट हुआ है, मैं उसका स्वागत है। इससे हमारे क्लीन एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन के लक्ष्यों को बल मिलेगा। अब से कुछ देर बाद हम भारत फ्रांस सीईओज फोरम में भी हिस्सा लेने वाले हैं। दोनों देशों के बिजनेस प्रतिनिधियों के साथ आर्थिक सहयोग मजबूत करने पर विस्तार से चर्चा होगी। फ्रेंड्स, रक्षा सहयोग हमारे संबंधों का एक मूलभूत स्तंभ रहा है। यह दोनों देशों के बीच गहरे आपसी विश्वास का प्रतीक है। मेक इन इंडिया और आत्मनिर्भर भारत, इसमें फ्रांस एक अहम पार्टनर है। आज हम रक्षा के क्षेत्र में भारत में नई टेक्नोलॉजी के को प्रोडक्शन और को डेवलपमेंट पर बात करेंगे। सबमरीन हो या फिर नौसेना के जहाज, हम चाहते हैं कि मिलकर केवल अपनी ही नहीं, तीसरे मित्र देशों की जरूरतों को भी पूरा करने के लिए हम काम करें। हमारी डिफेंस स्पेस एजेंसीज के बीच सहयोग बढ़ाने की संभावनाएं हैं। फ्रांस की कंपनियों द्वारा एमआरओ फैसिलिटीज, स्पेयर पार्ट्स, हेलीकॉप्टर के लिए इंजन का प्रोडक्शन भी भारत में किए जाने पर हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। हम इसमें हमारे सहयोग को और सशक्त करने पर बल देंगे। सिविल न्यूक्लियर क्षेत्र में सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाते हुए हम स्मॉल एंड एडवांस मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर्स में सहयोग की संभावना पर चर्चा करेंगे। आज भारत में चंद्रयान के सफल लॉन्च पर पूरा भारत उत्साहित है। यह हमारे वैज्ञानिकों की बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। अंतरिक्ष के क्षेत्र में भारत और फ्रांस का पुराना और गहरा सहयोग है। हमारी स्पेस एजेंसीज के बीच नए समझौते हुए हैं। इसमें सैटेलाइट लॉन्च सर्विसेज, समुद्र और धरती के तापमान और वातावरण को मॉनिटर करने के लिए तृष्णा सैटेलाइट बनाने का काम शामिल है। स्पेस बेस्ड मैरीटाइम डोमेन अवेयरनेस जैसे क्षेत्रों में भी हम अपना सहयोग बढ़ा सकते हैं। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और फ्रांस के बीच लंबे समय से गहरे पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट रहे हैं। हमारी आज की चर्चाओं से ये संबंध और मजबूत होंगे। हम फ्रांस के दक्षिण में मार्से शहर में नया भारतीय कॉन्सुलेट खोलेंगे। फ्रांस में पढ़े हुए भारतीय मूल के लोगों के लिए लॉन्ग टर्म वीजा देने के निर्णय का हम स्वागत करते हैं। हम फ्रांस के विश्वविद्यालयों को भारत में अपने कैंपस स्थापित करने के लिए आमंत्रित करते हैं। दिल्ली में बनाए जाने वाले नए राष्ट्रीय म्यूजियम में फ्रांस एक पार्टनर के रूप में जुड़ रहा है। अगले वर्ष पेरिस में होने वाले ओलंपिक्स के लिए सभी भारतीय एथलीट्स बहुत ही उत्सुक हैं। इसके सफल आयोजन के लिए मैं राष्ट्रपति मैक्रो और उनकी पूरी टीम को शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। फ्रेंड्स, आज हम कई महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्रीय और वैश्विक मुद्दों पर भी चर्चा करेंगे। इंडो पैसिफिक के रेसिडेंट पावर्स के रूप में इस क्षेत्र में शांति और स्थिरता के लिए भारत और फ्रांस की विशेष जिम्मेदारी है। हमारे सहयोग को एक रचनात्मक स्वरूप देने के लिए हम इंडो पैसिफिक कोऑपरेशन रोडमैप पर काम कर रहे हैं। इंडो पैसिफिक ट्रायंगुलर डेवलपमेंट कोऑपरेशन फंड के प्रस्ताव पर भी दोनों पक्ष में चर्चा में है। इससे पूरे क्षेत्र में स्टार्टअप्स और इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देने के नए अवसर खुलेंगे। भारत के इंडो पैसिफिक ओशन इनिशिएटिव्स में फ्रांस द्वारा मैरीटाइम रिसोर्स पिलर को लीड करने के निर्णय का हम स्वागत करते हैं। फ्रेंड्स, कोविड महामारी और यूक्रेन संघर्ष के प्रभाव पूरे विश्व पर पड़े हैं। ग्लोबल साउथ के देशों पर इनका विशेष रूप से नकारात्मक प्रभाव पड़ा है। यह चिंता का विषय है। इन समस्याओं के समाधान के लिए सभी देशों का एकजुट होकर प्रयास करना आवश्यक है। हमारा मानना है कि सभी विवादों का समाधान डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी के माध्यम से होना चाहिए। भारत स्थायी शांति की बहाली में योगदान देने के लिए तैयार है। आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध लड़ाई में भारत और फ्रांस हमेशा साथ रहे हैं। हम मानते हैं कि क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म को समाप्त करने के लिए ठोस कार्रवाई की आवश्यकता है। इस दिशा में सहयोग बढ़ाने पर दोनों देश सहमत हैं। राष्ट्रपति मैक्रो इस वर्ष G20 समिट के दौरान आपका भारत में स्वागत करने के लिए मैं और सभी भारतवासी बहुत ही उत्सुक हैं। एक बार फिर आपकी मित्रता और मुझे दिए गए आदर सत्कार के लिए मैं आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं।
There you have it, the joint press statement by Prime Minister Modi and President Macron of France. This is after the bilateral meetings happened between both India and France. A lot of deals have been announced. It's not been mentioned in the joint press statements, but it will come out in the joint statement subsequently. The Rafale deals for the Navy, the Scorpene submarines for the Indian Navy, and of course, the joint co-production of engines for the advanced combat medium-range aircraft as well. So all of that will be the substance of this visit that Prime Minister has undertaken to France. He was, of course, the guest of honor at the Bastille Day celebrations earlier today, which, of course, is a rare honor for a visiting head of government. So India-France cooperation in its 25th year of the strategic partnership between Paris and Delhi, moving up to the next level. We heard both from President Macron of France as well as Prime Minister Modi. Let me go across to Abhishek, my colleague, who's joining us. Abhishek, what are the big takeaways from the press statements that we just heard?
So clearly, those defense deals are something that we were looking forward to. Now we know that Indian Defense Ministry has